All right, let's get this show on the road. Papa Gut, this dude went from one of, believe it or not, this guy was successful at one point. That's how people, that's how badly people were starved of content back in the day. He was successful at one point. Papa Gut had an what was over 100,000 subscriber channel. Let me look up his channel real quick because this dude completely messed up his career. But he basically committed career suicide. Apparently the dude's live right now. I don't care. Hang on, let me find his OG channel. Cuz originally he had a smart business model. Okay, yeah. The real Papa Gut. It used to be called Papa Gut Archive. It looks like he's uploading to there again. Yep, it looks like he's uploading there again. Hang on, let me. Yeah. Because for some reason, he decided to basically throw a lot of stuff away. He decided to permanently close us off for at least a long time. As you can see here, he decided to just upload some of his archived streams onto his original channel. His secondary channel became his main channel. That's where he mainly streams now, and I guess he's switching up the model again. I swear, this dude changes like what he wants to do with his channels, like every 5 minutes. At least that's how I feel. Anyway, Papa Gut, he is a reaction Andy. All right, and look, technically, I'm a reaction Andy. All right. Admittedly, it is a very lazy form of content. You know, it's not, but he doesn't do it like how Augie does it, right? It's, oh my god, okay, so like here's the title of the video, here's what and then and then Papa Gut reaction, literally just that. Hang on, because Papa Gut, let me Papa Gut. He likes reacting to Tom a lot, so let's Papa Gut Tom Dark. All right, so like if we not the right one. If we look at the titles here, the depraved story of Code Key, Turkey Tom. Like that's it, just the title of the video. Turkey Tom's hit piece. Okay, here it's actually an original title. Turkey Tom's hit piece on Sneeko. But yeah, it just used to be insert the title of the video, Tom Doc, Papa Gut reactions. Like he that's all he was. It's just like a standard reaction channel. And so obviously he decided to react to the Colleen Ballinger situation because my god, you can make bank on that situation if you're a popular creator, which Papa Gut semi-popular creator. So yeah, he can make some fucking bank on that shit. Let me go to the. Here we go. All right, so where is it? All right, so he's already made a couple. You know, where is? Cause I saw he made like he had a reaction stream where it was just like five. It was like 5 hours of him just reacting to the entire situation. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. So this Colleen Ballinger and Adam McIntyre deep dive chaptered, and like he makes it sound like it's like he makes it sound like it's a video essay, because like when you look at that title, you think it's a video essay. Am I wrong on that? I feel like let's read that title again, shall we? Colleen Ballinger and Adam McIntyre's deep dive. Like it feels like that's like the title of a video essay, but it's all it is. It's just in his crappy stream format, and the problem with Papa Gut is, and this shot him, he shot himself in the foot a lot of times. One instance I can count is like when he was fighting with Deaf Noodles, right? Now, generally, people, took his side over Deaf Noodles, especially in the majority of the instances. But the dude always tries to paint himself as some sort of expert. He teaches young men not not to assault women because his wife is an expert. This, that, and the other thing, right? He always has to have like some source of like academic superiority over the stuff he's covering. When he's just a dude who reacts to stuff and gives like a mildly annoying like political take on it. That's all he is. He's like what Tipster's doing now, ironically enough. But yeah, he did that whole thing, and then let's see. He made another thing called Calling Ballinger Situation Has Gotten Out of Hand. Now this is the video everyone is mad at him over. Because he had not only does he get various things wrong in the video, but he also what was it? People were mainly upset with him because he said that Adam McIntyre wasn't groomed. Now, hot take, guys. I don't think Adam was groomed. At least, not in the traditional sense that, commentary channels usually talk about. He was not sexually groomed. Alright? Calling Ballinger is definitely manipulative, and I believe you could probably use the other definition of grooming. Now, funny enough, Turkey Tom on his Tom Dark channel talks about the situation, and at the end point, he kind of had a similar take to Papa Gut. Actually, let me take you to the part of the video where he specifically says it's not grooming. Let's see.
Messages too.
Here we are, right here.
So now the question becomes, is Miranda Sings Colleen Ballinger, could she be considered a predator or a groomer? Because that word is being thrown around a lot here. Honestly, even after seeing everything, I personally would probably say no, okay? She didn't, prey on any fan for gratification, as far as I can tell. She didn't sex any of them. She didn't try to sleep with any of them, nothing like that. But she did talk about things she shouldn't have talked about. She did the weird that show. And that's enough for what she did to be wrong. Messages too.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a perfectly fine take for Turkey Tom to have. I think it's perfectly fine to have that take. And guess what? He's not coming from a place of authority. He's talking about his personal opinion. In this Calling Ballinger video, he tries to come off with an air of authority. He's trying to speak factually because that's what he's been taught to do.
3 days since I posted my very comprehensive breakdown on.
It's not comprehensive at all, by the way. It's just not. If you want a comprehensive look at the situation, simply either watch Adam's videos on the situation, or I can't believe I'm about to say this, watch one of Paige's. I believe she made I think I could be wrong, 2 videos at this point. Let me look it up real quick. Paige Christie. I know she definitely made 1 video. I think she's made 2 videos now. Yeah. She's made 2 videos. If you want a comprehensive look at the Colleen Ballinger situation, simply just watch Paige Christie's videos. One is 2 hours long. The other is about an hour long. Not only is it shorter than Papa Gut's reaction compilation, I'm sure you'll understand the subject a lot better. But regardless, let's get into this and just rip Papa Gut to shreds.
on this Adam McIntyre and Colleen Ballinger situation. I did a huge deep dive. It encompasses Adam's first video from 3 years ago.
By the way, look at the likes to dislikes on this. Around 300 likes, 800 dislikes.
Colleen's response to that video, then the Cody video, Adam's reaction to the Cody video, and then another video from Adam. I've also since watched a few different videos after this to kind of add to the collection of my thoughts and my perspectives on this. And considering this is 6 hours long, I figured maybe I'll give you guys a little bit of a breakdown about the way that I feel, because to be honest with you, I think that this is a very large example of a narrative that's gone out of control. I want you to understand that I do feel for Adam.
It's gotten out of control in the sense I've heard that Adams has to what is it? He has to file police reports. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I remembered hearing on a Xylee stream that he has to file police reports about this whole situation. Because I guess like his family has been like, people have been trying to drag his family into this. Because Colleen Ballinger, obviously, when you're dealing with an old school like 10 million subscribed YouTube channel, the situation's gonna be a bit toxic, surprisingly. Shocker, guys. But yeah, I honestly I really feel for Adam and his family, and I hope they're doing okay from this situation.
The biggest part that I feel for Adam, to be absolutely honest with you, is because if there is a trauma there, it's not necessarily because of Colleen, but really the backlash and the outfall, or you know what I'm saying. The fallout is the word I was looking for. Anyway, for the past 3 years, to my understanding, the same people who are now very much in defense of Adam and apologizing to him are the same ones that have bullied and harassed him.
Which, okay, he's not wrong there. What's that chick's name? Cody Rance, the girl who made the original video that kicked off this entire wave. All right, guys, she's not a good person. I'm sorry, Diva, if you're watching this, but your friend's an idiot. If your friend is sitting on evidence that clears Adam's name for 3 years, and she only does it out of her own convenience, that is not a good person. And I'm not a good person either. I don't try to be. But the difference is, in that community, everyone is always like fake nice. They're always trying to pretend to be the nicest, most caring person possible. Alright? This is, by the way, Cody Rance, this woman made fan fiction of Colleen Ballinger and her friend, and she wrote assault in this fan fiction, and included the names of minors who were part of the group chat she was in. Does that not spell someone who's maybe slightly not normal? That's just me, though. That's just me.
And broken him down mentally on behalf of Colleen, I guess, despite the fact that I imagine she never told you guys to do this. I think it's Colleen's
She gave what Colleen did was she gave them the loaded gun. She laid it out carefully for them. She didn't fire the gun herself, but boy, did she load it. Also, hang on. Make sure to like and retweet the post on Twitter, guys. We're trying to get a lot of people in here. No, tell me it ain't so calmly wonderful. No. But yeah. Anyway.
Privilege that after they had their falling out, she got to disconnect from this situation and no longer was a part of her, at least up until now. But for Adam, this has become a very personal thing that's been...
Who can blame Adam? This was a obviously yes. This is gonna be a personal situation. Oh my god.
Festering. And I think that that festering perspective has, if you look back, caused him to have a different perspective on the situation. The first
Oh yeah, because look, imagine this for a second, right? And like this is also I hate to say this, but I do believe some criticism needs to be levied at Adam because I guess he knew about like the newer stuff that Cody Ranch chick revealed, right? But he didn't reveal it because he didn't want to at the time. Now I understand that like he still had this kind of like very weird parasocial relationship with Colleen at the time. Like I can't imagine like going against your idol and like trying to expose them for something that they wrongfully did against you. You know, like I imagine like he probably wasn't thinking straight, didn't have all of his ducks in a row. All right, but I can only guess, right? I don't know what Adam was thinking at the time. I just know like obviously hindsight's 2020. We can point out this, that, and the other thing. But considering he was a kid at the time, like I can't psychoanalyze him. Papa Gut, however, oh he's perfectly fine with doing that.
first time I saw it seemed to be a very um, grounded and accurate perspective of what was happening. And then you see the hate in him, which is totally human later on. And like I said, I think that
It's very human to have that hate. Very human.
it's because of the irresponsibility of people in, I suppose, whatever community this is. I don't know if it's the beauty community or whatever the
It's the tea community. Just call it the tea community, man.
I don't know, the community that tracks how many times Trisha farted or something. I don't really know. It seems that that's the content sphere. It seems to be them who are the ones that are the primary problem, and now in an almost opportunistic way, they get to distance themselves from the harm that they caused as a collective and push everything onto Colleen. And we have now gotten to a point where we are leveraging false grooming accusations.
Okay, like I said, me personally, like in terms of like what we normally consider grooming in the commentary community, I don't think I don't think it's right to accuse her necessarily of that. But people like Xylee have been making, I would say, some like convincing arguments that like it's not that kind of grooming, but it's definitely grooming in the sense that she was trying to manipulate these kids, these fans, into doing whatever she wanted. Now that I can somewhat stand by. I can stand by that. But just listen to how Papa Gut conducts himself in this.
I want to be clear. I don't think Adam is lying, but I also don't think that this is accurate. It's hard to, look at 100,000 people and say you guys caused this harm, and it's easier to say, well, it must be Colleen's fault because they were acting on her behalf, even though she wasn't explicit about doing it. And I don't think that she wanted people to relentlessly harass Adam.
She did. She absolutely did. She 100% did. That's why she did the tactics what she did. It was grooming, just not sexual grooming. True can be true. That's basically the take that I have, kind of. Cuz I don't know. I think it's hard to prove grooming. She's like without a doubt she's was very manipulative to her entire fan base, acting extremely inappropriate with them.
We're going to get into the specifics. To be clear, and this is a real question, I do question all the people who are saying that they're on Adam's side, and I'm hoping that at least one of them recommended that he see some kind of mental health counselor. Because if you truly think that you were groomed, that's the way to go. And that's one of the reasons why, and maybe I'm just wrong in this assertion, but I don't think anybody necessarily cares about Adam, unfortunately. I think that this is
I will say, I definitely think Xylee cares about Adam. Me personally, I'm just talking about this to talk about this. I find this all entertaining. I don't know Adam personally. I'm sure he's a swell guy to hang around. All right? I'm sure we could hit up the gay clubs, have a fantastic time. All right? I don't know him personally. I just find this entertaining. I'm being honest.
Is really more of just morally grandstanding from everybody else, and really weaponizing Adam's very deep, intimate, hurtful feelings. And I mean that in a profound way, and not a way to minimize this. Because from what I've seen from him, I've seen a very genuine person expressing a very genuine thing, but it's not grooming. And I have to stand firm on that because I think that we are eroding the seriousness of that accusation.
Now, I want to give Papa Gut the benefit of the doubt. I want a slight benefit of the doubt. Okay, hear me out. I think he's thinking of grooming like the way people generally think of grooming. However, he's trying to come at this from a pseudo intellectual standpoint. So he should know that grooming has multiple meanings. Like, again, like can be like Xylee have been saying, it's definitely not like sexual grooming, but it can be argued to be the other form of manipulative grooming.
I want to first start off with saying that, like, obviously, defining grooming, there are multiple ways to define this. The first way is the way that we typically talk about this topic on the internet, which is sexual grooming. It is an intentional, methodical process of manipulating and setting somebody up, a child up, for sexual exploitation. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's not the type of grooming it is. You don't understand grooming. And I do take offense to that because I do understand it.
Remember, guys, this is the same person who teaches young men not to rape. Because without Papa Gut teaching men not to rape, oh my God, America would be wildly dangerous. Why is he giving Colleen so much grace and benefit of the doubt that she didn't encourage people to come for Adam, etc., after Adam has shown proof of the opposite? Exactly. Like, it's been shown by the people who went after Adam, like Colleen Rance, that she 100%, like I said earlier, what she did was she handed them a loaded gun. She prepped it for them, made it all nice, but she didn't pull the trigger herself. She waited for other people to pull the trigger, and then she jumped on the Adam hate train. He is so weirdly like, I'm right and all of you are dumb about this, but then gets Adam's name wrong and stuff to watch. It's so funny, yeah. And like, look, I get stuck. Oh my God, like, luckily, like, I'm a small channel, right? I don't get called out a lot. I'm sure if someone were to like call me out, I probably made a lot of dumb takes over like the past like year or two of me doing this, right? However, I'm not claiming to be an intellectual. I'm an idiot with a microphone that spews hot takes, dumb takes. I'm just a guy talking on the internet. That's what Papa Gut is, but he thinks he's so much more than that. And I hate to tell you this, buddy, you're not. You're a former Twitch React Andy who moved to YouTube because Twitch is a dying platform. And granted, you saw that ahead of time, so you moved on early, but you basically fumbled your entire channel. Anyway, let's continue this.
I understand it deeply, and I do. I really try to educate myself on these topics. I know people think it's incredibly cringe, but I have mental health conversations on a daily basis.
I have mental health conversations on the daily basis. Like, is it or is it not cringe to like the Minions?
And I do my best to educate myself on these topics.
You see, this is the language. This is the language that makes me hate this man. Oh, you see, like, what I do is I ponder, I educate myself, on various mental health issues because, I try to make the world a better place. She did exploit him. She did lower his ambitions to allow for inappropriate talks, etc. She used him and love bombed him because she saw he had value. He brought Miranda back to life. Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that just because my wife is a social worker, that means that I have an educated perspective on this from a college perspective. But we do have robust mental health conversations, and these are the topics that they include.
So yes, dear wife of mine, the mental health of this Irish gay guy. Let's talk about that, shall we? Like, I know him and his wife do content together. I think they have like a whole separate channel. I don't know if they're still active on that, but I do know she's used to be anyway a frequent member in his chats. Like I said, I know they used to do content together. Like, imagine like your husband's like, let's discuss the mental illness of this gay Irish twink. His superiority savior complex makes me throw up in my mouth. True. By the way, let's get some shout outs out of the way in the chat. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Purple Paw Prince. Thank you, Plants. Thank you, Rylan. Let's see. Thank you, Kim B. Maggot Edits. You all are based and beautiful people, and you should subscribe and like the stream. Gut thinks he's teaching young ones the right way, his way. Too many of us old ones around here to call him out on his BS. I mean, I'm not that old, like mentally. I feel like mentally I'm an old man, but I'm only like 21,
And I just want to be clear, that doesn't make me instantly right, but I would say.
But I'm going to pretend it does. I'm going to pretend it does make me instantly right.
Say that, especially considering the content that I've made historically, I try to be very delicate about these situations, and I try to be very strong in my opinions, whether they are received publicly or not. And I think that that's one of the aspects of this as well, because there's a lot of content creators who are not going to disagree. There are many people who do disagree that this is grooming, but they simply won't speak up because, again, nobody takes this community particularly seriously. And I don't mean to be rude about this. I just want to be very clear about the optics and what's surrounding.
I'm not trying to be rude, but you're a complete idiot.
This situation. Anyway, to the sexual grooming part, people will say that they will say, well, it's not sexual grooming, but then they will bring up the inappropriate sexual aspects to this topic. And so let's...
Because they're still worth bringing up. I believe so. I call me crazy, but if you ask a 14-year-old gay boy if he's a virgin or not, I believe that's worth mentioning. If you send lingerie to that same 14-year-old boy, I'm sorry, 14 to 15-year-old boy, is that not worth bringing up? Am I wrong on that, chat? I don't know. Is this a nerdy John L for thinking it's a valid point to bring up that she does weird behavior like that?
Let's address that first so that we can say we know for a fact that it wasn't any form of sexual grooming, because it wasn't. First and foremost, we have the inappropriate Q&A questions that Colleen recommended to Adam when he said in a group chat, hey, what should I ask for my Q&A? And she said, what about if you're a virgin? Or what about your favorite sex position? Very inappropriate, right? But what do you think that the desired outcome was? Well, the desired outcome certainly wasn't to do some kind of harm to Adam. I don't know what the desired outcome is. All I know is she's messed up in her head. Her fans are messed up in their heads. And it's good that Adam got out while he could. Think that anybody that has never been expressed in any capacity. In fact, the narrative seems to be that in public settings, Miranda wanted to have very little to do with Adam. And so I imagine if she was trying to set him up for some kind of sexual exploitation, that she would have moved forward with that. And so it boils down to that's very inappropriate. And it is, 1,000%. That's no questioning. But that doesn't mean that the intent of that was to try to take advantage of Adam sexually. The lingerie, the same thing. Obviously, she was on a live stream giving away stuff that she didn't want, and she sent it because she thought it was funny. It's not. Especially 6 years after.
Okay, like even in the realms of edgy humor, which I myself am a connoisseur of the edgiest of humors. What's the funny part about sending a child lingerie? Well, what's the funny part about that? I generally can't understand. Let's see. I generally can't understand grown adults are actively trying to downplay a child's grooming experience. She wanted an army to fight her battle. She could pull the puppet strings behind the scenes. Yeah, yeah, it definitely seems like that. If sending a child lingerie doesn't count as sexual exploitation, I don't know what does. Says Mr. Gamer. Are you a gamer, Mister? I don't know. X to doubt on that. Are you a true gamer?
After that event happened, it's even less funny. And I want to be clear, because it wasn't funny then, but we have moved rapidly socially over the past 6 years. I would say more so than we.
This isn't. I said. this isn't. I said the N word in a video. This is. You may. Oh my god. He's trying to equate the edgy humor to like something like that. It's not that. Okay? I understand that like content creators from her time are edgy. I think we all do, all right? Look at any video made like from 2008 to 2012. Like during the peak of like YouTubers starting to gain some notoriety, some success, especially like skit YouTubers like Miranda Sings, like Shane Dawson, like Smosh. Of course, these people were edgy as heck. But still, sexual jokes towards children should be a no-go for the most part. Crazy take by me. I know.
We have the 50 years before. We are in the age of the internet, the age of rapid communication, rapid information, and we are moving very quickly socially. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but what
this entire point here is stupid.
I am saying is that we move fast, and so saying something was acceptable 3 years ago and now it's not, to a lot of people goes, well, that's silly. It was only 3 years. We've moved.
This wasn't. It was an acceptable then thing.
Rapidly. We are in a massive exchange of information. Okay, and the conversation, by the way, about parasocial relationships is very new.
It is. Parasocial relationships are not new. The conversation around them is not new. I mean, look at any discussion people had about sites like channels and news organizations like TMZ with any sort of like celebrity, whether that be movie stars, whether that be musicians. I mean, we had a dude who tried to assassinate the President of the United States because he thought a movie star would want to marry him. Yeah, I would say that's kind of a parasocial relationship. Sure, I guess in the modern day, with the age of the internet, with YouTube stars, Twitch streamers, sure, there are more examples of parasocial relationships, but parasocial relationships have always have been a thing.
Social relationships have existed forever. We've really only been talking about them for the past year or two.
No, that's not it. That's not true.
Realistically speaking, I remember the first time that I engaged in parasocial relationship discourse was 2 years ago because a content creator named Joe Bartolosi made a video about it, and I found it interesting. That's it. It's been that little amount of time. And so you have to understand that this wasn't
I only found about it 2 years ago. So it must have. So of course it's only been discussed for 2 years. like what? When Papa Gut learned about gravity, he's like, oh, no one discussed this. No one discussed this until I found out about it. Let's see. I'm just gonna say, for someone who's cried over jokes and his wife not being taken seriously, to dismiss Adam's trauma and devalue his feeling is just either way, she caused emotional trauma. I think she did the sexual comments, etc., to gain trust of the teens/kids by being the cool adult that made them feel like adults, by making them her stans. That's definitely an argument you can have. Like I guess you can say she tried to be everyone's like edgy/cool aunt, but it's still weird.
a widely understood and accepted topic that people were talking about. And everybody that's in the comments and other content creators that are like, no, this is parasocial. You're right. But that wasn't a thing that we acknowledged back then. That is a boundary that's very new. And the reason is
No, it's not. It's not a new boundary. It's not.
because we're in an age of massive micro celebrities. Historically, celebrities were found by some kind of a group or organization or management firm that would operate everything for them, their PR, what jobs they did, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't exist. Now any Tom, Dick, or Sally can become a large content creator. That was a very boomer reference, can become a large content creator with absolutely no guidance. And that doesn't exonerate them for any wrongdoing that they do. But I think it's important to realize that these are human beings that don't have the same level of guidance, that are micro celebrities. And we have to understand the intent. And my intent is to come into this completely unbiased. A lot of people are filtering the behaviors of Colleen through her being guilty instantaneously, but that's not how these work. I understand it's a very human thing to do, but that's just not how it works. If you want to get to the root of what's going on and the root of the behavior, you have to be unbiased. You have to set aside your personal frustrations and your personal feelings on a topic, and you have to talk about it like that. If you aren't capable of doing that, that's understandable, but you need to be more aware of your own personal biases. You need to be more introspective. You need to be able to operate, and if you can't, I understand, but that's what I'm going to do, and I'm sorry.
I'm more, aka, like, let me translate for that for you. It's just, I'm more big brain than you are. Colleen isn't a micro celebrity. She has nearly 11 million subscribers. No, what he mean, like, he's not talking about like size, right? What he's talking about, micro celebrity in the term of, she's not from Hollywood. She's not a music industry person. She's not, when he means micro celebrity, he means like internet, because that's ultimately that's what internet celebrities are. They're micro celebrities, because guess what? If you talk to the majority of the United States, generally they can name a good portion of like Hollywood actors, or like top 20 pop musicians, rock stars, rappers. You talk to a lot of people in America. Now, granted, the number of people who are more knowledgeable about the internet is growing. Still, a large portion of people, especially if they didn't really grow up with the internet, if they had a more like traditional style of being raised, a lot of people don't know anything about internet celebrities. My parents don't know any internet celebrities unless they saw them being covered on the news, like Jake Paul, for example. Yeah, the Paul brothers in general. Or like they appeared randomly as a guest on like some reality TV show, like Trisha Paytas. That's the only way a majority of America has ever like acknowledged like internet celebrities. Because people don't really unless you grew up with it, people don't really actively search for that, because generally the internet didn't interest them to begin with. But I digress. Kind of derailing from the original point. Let's go.
Sorry if I'm coming off as abrasive, but again, the topic of grooming and sexual assault, these are topics that get me a little bit heated. And so
You know what? Like that's why maybe you should adopt the same policy that like that Tommy C has, and just not talk about that stuff. Because guess what? This assault stories. Surprise, guys! You can't make a lot of laughs out of those. You want to know why I covered this situation originally? Because of how crazy Cody Rance is. How insane like her video was, and like how maddening Cody Rance is as an individual. In that context, Papa Gut is attempting to downplay her influence on minors. No, Mr. Gamer, I think you're trying to that's a bad faith argument. No, he's not trying to downplay her influence, right? Because obviously, in the fact that she's a micro celebrity, he's saying that she has more contact with her fans. If anything, he's trying to say that she has way more influence on her fans than Hollywood celebrities.
So if I'm a little rude, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be antagonistic or abrasive, but sometimes that's how it is. So I'm sorry for that.
I'm sorry, okay? I think I get my point across because I'm factually right.
Anyway, getting back to the sexually inappropriate things, like we said, we had the Q&A questions. We had the situation with the lingerie. Inappropriate, very clearly no intent to do any grooming. Then we have the period question. Inappropriate again. Periods aren't sexual. You know, it's inappropriate to ask that question. It's a weird thing. She was probably writing a skit about periods because her Miranda character is annoying. But again, what do you think she wanted to do with that information? That's very important. What did she do with that information? It's been years and we've...
I don't know. It's still a weird thing to ask people. Call me crazy. Papa Gut is no role model. True, Nixon. True. He is no role model. Because he sucks. Alright? If anyone on this platform is genuinely taking his advice, you are eating soap and glue. Alright? You had no brain cells to begin with if you are genuinely taking the advice from Papa Gut. You're not a big brain individual.
We've seen nothing. Another thing people will talk about is that she has like a bit on stage where she has kids do stuff that would be considered inappropriate. Again, that is inappropriate. Also keep in mind that she's doing that in front of the parents and the parents don't mind. That doesn't make it okay, but we have to understand, unless you think that every single parent of every single kid that likes Miranda is some kind of a groomer, then we would just understand that maybe those are inappropriate dated jokes. Okay? Keep that in mind, that public perception is important. Things change. Pedophile jokes were much more accepted not even 5 years ago. I think it's a good thing that they're not as much, but frankly...
Honestly, if they're executed well, pedo jokes are funny, man. Any topic can be funny if you execute it well. Racism can't be funny if you pull it off right. Because guess what? You didn't... ultimately, I'll still acknowledge it as you attempting to make a joke. But if you just, say something racist and it's not funny, it makes the room a lot more awkward. Same thing with pedo jokes, to a worse degree. You have to know what you're doing.
They used to be more accepted. And that's what it comes down to. Another inappropriate aspect. I believe, there's one last thing. There are people talking about in these group chats that Colleen was part of, or she had founded it. They were fan group chats. There were some fan fictions that were, some of which written by Cody, where there was very explicit things going on, some of which with minors. My understanding is that Miranda didn't write any of them. I'm not even sure if she read any of them. If she allowed that in her group chat, I think that's inappropriate. But to be...
Yeah. That part really it just shows how messed up the entire fan base is, you know. Let's see. Uh, Even so, his video, but all it will serve is to inevitably Cody's transcend Cody's victims when they are forward. She's still doing the same jokes and skits. What do you mean outdated? LMAO, what a clown. Dave Chappelle is hilarious. Dave Chappelle. I forget which one. I want to say it was the Sticks and Stones comedy special. He made a joke about how how great it would be to be a Michael Jackson victim. Cause yeah, man. Wait. Actually, you know what? Let's pull a Papa Gut. Let's be a React Andy. Dave L. Michael Jackson. Yep. It was a Sticks and Stone special. Let's watch a little bit of it because I think it's a funny bit.
Oh, I'm goddamn sick of it. This is the worst time ever to be a celebrity. You're gonna be finished. Everyone's doomed. Michael Jackson has been dead for 10 years, and this nigga has 2 new cases. And if you haven't watched that documentary, then I'm begging you, don't watch it. It's fucking gross. I felt like HBO was sticking baby dicks in my ears for 4 hours straight. Really nasty shit. I don't want to know all these things. Turns out, Michael Jackson allegedly likes a long gander at the anus. So they said he stares at people's buttholes. That's what they said. That's how gross the documentary was. I'm gonna say something that I'm not allowed to say. But I gotta be real. I don't believe these motherfuckers.
Okay. I think the point across, right? That's a messed up situation he's making fun of. But in my subjective opinion, he he pulls it off quite well. All right, he does. Colleen Ballinger, I'm gonna take a wild guess, and I'm just gonna guess that she's no Dave Chappelle.
Absolutely, Frank. I cannot trust the public perspective of anybody who's weighing in on this situation because they've already decided to demonize Miranda. And so it's impossible when you have people who've already decided that this is grooming for you to give an accurate perspective because, simply put, it wasn't. And I don't mean to be rude, but I can't trust your framing on the topic. That's just how it is. If and when these group chats come out, I'm sure they're going to show inappropriate behavior. But again, do you think Miranda was trying to set children up for sexual exploitation, or do you think that she's an idiot? Frankly, I think that she's probably just an idiot, and that's
She's a silly goof, guys. She's a goofy goober. She just did an oopsie.
what I've seen so far from everything else. So now we've gotten all the sexual stuff out of the way when it comes to these allegations of grooming. And so now we can talk about what grooming is fundamentally in a non-sexual capacity.
Oh boy, don't you just love this topic? Isn't this just so much fun to go over? Oh my god. Well, why does everything have to eventually turn into some kind of grooming allegation, man? I'm here for the chuckles, for the shuckles, man. This is my main issue with Papa God. He can never have fun online. It always has to be, well, no, this is a serious issue that we need to talk about and we need to educate ourselves on because we need to discuss the efficacy grooming and how fans and celebrities are handled. Dude, I just want to make fun of trolls for a little bit, man.
To be absolutely honest with you, grooming in and of itself, the word isn't inherently bad. It's not inherently bad to engage in grooming, except for on the internet, because we.
He's okay. I gotta put the biggest asterisk up. Technically right, because like you can groom someone into a job position, like you can like that's technically technically that's how you can use the word. You groomed someone to prepare them for a position of power. I mean, yeah, generally people don't use it in that sort of term, but that's technically that's how you can use it. Just technically speaking.
You load it so much. When I was at an Eagle Scout ceremony, I was taught there were people who were presenting to the young men who have become Eagle Scouts, which is a great honor. I am an Eagle Scout. And one of the speakers came up, representative of, I believe it was the state or the county, and they said, congratulations to all the parents and the leadership for grooming their children into being an Eagle. When I heard that, my first reaction was visceral. I was like, ew, gross. And I realized that's because that is a very online perspective when it comes to the like the usage of that word, and the discourse around that word is very loaded, and it's very sexually loaded. And what people don't understand is when you say, well, it's non-sexual grooming, you're still carrying that intense energy from sexual grooming into your other definition of it. The point that I'm making here is that grooming is an intentional process to set someone up to do a thing, and what I don't quite understand is, what thing do you think that Adam was groomed into doing? Do you think that
Well, let's see. He was running her social media accounts. From what I know, like he would plan Twitter, like he would plan tweets for the Miranda Sings character to do. And then when those tweets would backfire, he would get the blame for it. But obviously, when they were successful, Colleen would get the credit, of course. Now, again, he's not wrong in the sense that grooming is a very meticulous process. You usually groom someone for years, in both the sexual context and like the manipulative context as well. But it's just he didn't approach, and this is my ultimate point throughout this entire stream. He does not approach this correctly. Well, now I wouldn't think the Boy Scouts would be using grooming. I hate this emoji crap system. I can't read all the comment. I think make me a little uncomfortable just saying. Yeah, especially certain allegations that the Boy Scouts have faced over the years.
Adam was methodically groomed into hearing divorce stories or making content for him? That doesn't really make sense to me, because that isn't grooming. I don't understand the narrative, my best of my understanding, because frankly it's not very precise or accurate, it's a bit all over the place, is that Colleen set Adam up for some form of grooming in order to exploit content and his labor out of him, as well as to be a friend in some capacity, I guess. To be honest with you, it hasn't been well defined. That's the best thing that I could come up with, that she groomed him for content. I don't even know how to respond to that.
I think better wording is she manipulated him for content. She gained his trust, made him believe that their relationship was bigger than what it was. She took advantage of that, and used him until it was inconvenient for her. Also, random update on the tipster story. It looks, actually, let me open this private window, just tweet. First of all, those comments were on Twitter, not TikTok. Second, Ricky Berwick and I are friends. We were trolling each other. Imagine taking lighthearted stuff seriously. And then Ricky Berwick tweets that. It says, unblock Bo Blacks and Nicholas Durio, or we are no longer friends. just a little. sorry to be derailio there for a second. But I thought that was a little funny. Okay, back to the main topic.
What is so? I want to ask a question. What do you think should happen to Colleen based on that? Do you think, because the way that you guys are talking about it, whether you intend it or not, is that she needs to lose her children and go to jail? You think Colleen is an unfit mother because of this? That is the proportionality.
Now, that's not what I think. I think she's just a content creator who, not even like in the sense of being like, oh my god, you're such an awful person. I think Colleen needs to be made fun of relentlessly. But that's my perspective on it. I think she needs to be made fun of relentlessly for what she did, what she tried to pull. Imagine, because guys, imagine being such a failure at social media, you needed a 14-year-old to help you. A 14-year-old. Imagine that. You're so bad at doing your own job that you need a 14-year-old to help you do it. I don't know. I think that's worth being made fun of for. If I'm being real.
Would be the proportional punishment to the way that you are talking about this topic, is that is what that is. I think that it is a very disproportionate thing. I think she deserves criticism, but like most things on the internet, this criticism is never proportionate. It is massively disproportionate. And in an online space that doesn't understand how to define grooming, where we're canceling 19-year-olds for talking to 17-year-olds, where everything is some form of sexual assault, I don't think that the online discourse is prepared to talk about this in the right way. That's not to say that there aren't people who are groomed on the internet, because it certainly does happen. But every time this story or stories like this gets pushed as grooming, people sit on the sidelines and go, huh, and they care less about actual grooming victims. That's a fact. That is a fact. I want to remind you, Adams, I don't think, is pushing any false allegation, but he happens to be wrong about this when it comes to himself. I know that sounds horrible, but again, I think that we're in a very new internet age, and the feelings, which quite possibly are traumatic feelings, aren't because of Colleen. Once again, it's because of the backlash over the past 3 years of him.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think he suffered a lot of backlash. Everyone who covered that situation, whether Colleen was secretly backing them or not, didn't take his side. James Charles, then YouTube icon, especially for like gay YouTubers, made a video talking about how wrong Adam is. So yeah, I think it's not just one thing or the other. It's definitely a mixture of everything. Like the build up of all the situation. Okay, I can't psychoanalyze this like Papa Gut, because I don't know what it'd be like to be in that situation. All right, you think you're friends with like a million, like a successful YouTuber who has millions of followers, makes thousands of dollars, and like she's connected to some of the most influential people on the platform, and then she uses those connections to try and silence you, to try and make it look like you're the bad guy in the situation. I can't imagine how that's like. I can't. So I can't psychoanalyze. I can only make guesses based on like what I'm seeing, right? But like Papa Gut, you gotta stop psychoanalyzing this BS. You really do.
Him constantly getting shit on. Anyway, regardless of what you want to define as grooming, we need to understand this. There is a difference between being a person that is manipulative and creating a relationship through manipulation to extort something. I think that it's not unreasonable to say that in this inappropriate relationship that Colleen has with Adam, she may manipulate him in some capacity. There's a possibility there, though I think that that's overblown. However, that is different from explicitly creating a relationship with the intention to manipulate, right?
That I completely disagree with him on. I think she absolutely used everything she could to manipulate him and then cast him aside. She 100% knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. She knew what the end. I think she knew what the end result was going to be. She was just eventually going to cast Adam aside, and she manipulated the situation accordingly. James Charles, that's someone to defend a groomer. The YouTuber of morality. Yeah.
I'm sure all of you have had shitty manipulative friends before, but it doesn't mean they created their relationship to manipulate you. They just happen to be people that are manipulative. Now,
Because I want to say Adam at that time. I could be wrong on this. Correct me in the chat. I do want to say that Adam, to some degree, had an internet presence. Obviously, he wasn't as big as he is now, but obviously he had some standing online. I think Colleen took notice of that, and she knew that she could use him as sort of like not PR person, but basically just someone on her team that she could use to help connect the brand to fans. I hope we're talking about hair grooming. Yeah, exactly, Toxic Dome. That is what we're talking about. We're talking about the best tips on how to get those frosted tips everyone's wanting. But yeah. And granted, this is just my gut feeling. This is my personal take. I'm not trying to speak objectively. But personally, I believe that she went into her friendship with Adam with the intention of using him to further her social media standing. That's just my opinion.
again, maybe that's Colleen. Possible. I don't know that I've necessarily seen that, but that is very explicitly different from actively grooming someone in some capacity. Because what you're claiming is that she just saw Adam and decided to target this young man, this kid at the time, because she wanted to take advantage of him from the start, when it's more likely that she just had an interaction with her fans because she liked being a micro celebrity. She liked that people liked her. She liked the positive attention, and that is inappropriate because of a parasocial relationship, specifically with young fans. Doesn't make her some kind of a manipulative groomer at all.
I think she's definitely manipulative. Again, call me a fence rider. Like, I think there's a strong argument that can be made for some form of grooming. However, she again, at the very least, with Adam's with her relationship with Adam, I think she did go in with the intention of just using him.
Adam has been very upfront and honest about everything. He gives us the facts of every single situation as you look at the way that he describes each and every point where he says that he was just manipulated. In fact, his claim is that Colleen never had any intention of following through on any promise that she's ever made. And then as he's recounting the story, each and every single time he recounts it, he gives a valid reason as to why Colleen doesn't follow through on a perceived promise. So, here's the first thing I want to establish. If you rewatch the first video that Adam makes, which I think is the best video, the most honest interpretation of what's going on, you come to understand a few things. First of which is that Adam loves Colleen a lot. And I think that he still does. He loved her in the past as a content creator, and I think that he still does, because as I see, I saw.
He definitely doesn't anymore. Like, obviously, he was obsessed with her at the time. I think it could have been an argument could have been made 3 years ago that he still liked her to some degree, right? But definitely not now. This is, I think this is like, this part especially right here is where a lot of people just tuned out and decided to go on the Papa Gut hate train, because he's trying to be a psychoanalyst against like what Adam could have been thinking. Now I have my guesses on like what he was probably thinking at the time, but like I'm not a mental health expert like Papa Gut tries to pretend he is. Okay, I have a limited life experience. I'm only 21. I'm I'm just going about this how I personally see it. My personal opinion: Adam absolutely hates this woman now, and frankly, I don't blame I don't blame him.
Saw a specific tweet on social media, on his Twitter, that is like, I will stop talking about this topic, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he expresses that he will stop talking about this topic if Colleen privately and publicly apologizes. That by itself, to a lot of people, probably doesn't mean a lot. To me, it possibly signals that he still has a level of, and I'm going to go as far as to say, a possible obsession with Colleen, where it's more.
No, that is, see, that's the complete wrong interpretation to have. All right, he probably wants he wants acknowledgement for the past 3 years that she was wrong. I think that's what he's looking for. He's looking for the acknowledgement from her that she was wrong to do what she did. Of course, I don't think unfortunately, Adam's never going to get that, because like, this story would have to massively be taken out of her hands. By the way, I know, like, from what I've seen, she's made like snippets of like oh my god, hashtag canceled t-shirts, right, and everything. But I haven't seen Colleen Ballinger actually make an official response to all this. And the allegate, like, any the stuff that's been revealed 3 years later is way worse than anything that was 3 years ago. And she responded to that stuff, but she's staying real quiet over this situation. Now, that could mean that she's working on a very long, very big response video. I don't know. Maybe in like the next week or two, we'll see the Colleen Ballinger response video, and we'll finally get that tea. But I don't know. I think Colleen, until I see the response video, I think for now Colleen is kind of just riding this all out. She's hoping that as long as she doesn't respond to any of this, that it will just like fade away. She could continue her career and you just go from there. Adam has admitted that he would troll people. He harassed people using various accounts. She used him and other people to fight her battles. Yeah, I think that like she effectively, she's just used like what we would call like stands now to do a lot of her dirty work, which people accuse Dream of doing a lot.
Or about some form of validation from her, rather than it is about any kind of an apology or anything like that. Some kind of a recognition.
That part right there. It's oh yeah, he doesn't want an actual apology for like the past 3 years of people claiming he was wrong and his life basically being ruined. No, he just wants attention from her. Good on you, Papa Gut. Good on you.
That doesn't mean that Adam's a bad person, because this relationship started when basically, at least his relationship with her, started at age 11, when he started to be a huge fan of her. 11 years old, and by 13 and 14, he started making Twitter fan pages, Instagram fan pages. By 14, they also became more personally friends. However, if you listen to Adam talk, he says, I thought we were really good friends, but at least, or he says he expresses, we were really good friends, or at least I thought. And part of me does question how big of friends they were, though.
The reason why he says "at least I thought" was because he was betrayed by her. Now, Colleen, obviously, she didn't view the friendship as a real one. But she made Adam think that it was a real relationship.
Of course, with her venting about her divorce or being catty about it, it seems like they had a bit more of a friendship. However, it's possible that he invested a lot of energy into it, which makes sense. I think that the way that I see Adam talk about this, it seems like there is a mythology to her, to Colleen, from Adam's perspective. He seems to look at her as some kind of a deity. And this is where these parasocial type relationships get into, where we realize that you shouldn't really be friends with underage fans, especially. Though I think it can be appropriate to be friends with fans of age, of course. But it can be inappropriate because I think young people can have a very hard time differentiating celebrities from actual people, because celebrities are actual people. But I think that there can be an unhealthy relationship that's developed there. Another thing that I think is very important to acknowledge is that Adam comments that the parents thought that this was a good thing when they first started talking.
All right. I'm a real. I understand that people have different styles of parenting. I know that Adam and his mom have a very loving relationship, and good on them. And again, hindsight is 2020. However, I don't know, and this is just me personally talking here. If I found out that my kid was on social media, he had fan pages of, she, whatever gender my child is, my theoretical child. If I found out that my kid was running fan pages of this creator, and then I find out that they are talking to this creator, and this creator isn't like a fellow kid like them. I find out that this creator is in their mid-30s, and my kid is a child. I would be admittedly concerned. They were happy the son was making friends. Okay. Yeah, okay, I understand that. But I will say, and obviously, every parent is different. I don't know if I would be personally comfortable with my child being friends with a person in their mid-30s, especially when that person in their mid-30s has some sort of influence over my child. And not like the influence that a coach or a teacher would have over a kid. No, this is a celebrity that when she says jump, her fans say how high. But that's just me. Again, maybe this is just a crazy take by me.
Without the other stuff, it changes, and we'll get to that. But fundamentally speaking, Adam's parents, who seem to be good parents, were happy, not just okay with, but happy from what he expresses about their friendship, stating that they thought it was really nice that a big content creator would be active with their fans. Now, this doesn't make what Colleen did appropriate, but
I'm giving the parents the benefit of the doubt. Because again, I'm not a parent. I don't know how it is to raise a child. The best I can do is relate to fur baby, like the fur babies, the doggos. And obviously, I don't have to worry about doggos interacting with social media stars. But all I will say is my personal opinion. I think they kind of dropped the ball on that. Obviously, I think they learned from their mistake. Hopefully, they didn't. From what I know, they didn't let another situation like that happen to him again.
But what it shows us is that the mentality from people, adults, at that time, 6 years ago, was that this type of behavior was acceptable. Do I think it is? No, I don't. But we're also 6 years later, again, after a massive amount of social change has happened. And so if we're going to fault Colleen for being some kind of a groomer specifically because she started talking to an underage fan non-sexually, that means that you would have to think that Adam's parents were okay with grooming, which they're very clearly not. That's the only point, is that fundamentally I have an issue with this relationship. Neither the parents nor Colleen did, and the societal atmosphere at the time probably wasn't too much against it either, because we weren't very educated about parasocial relationships. As time went on, obviously things got a little bit bizarre. But to recap, let's kind of finish. Let's just get through the fallout first, and then we'll go back to the other situations. When we hit the fallout of this particular topic, it seems to be that Adam was promised an internship and possibly an actual job if things went really well. Adam's perspective now is that he was never actually ever going to get a full job, and he believes that he was just being manipulated for content. Frankly, while it is possible, based on what we know, it's very unlikely.
I think personally, I think it's likely that like the job author was never going to be there for him. But again, that's just me.
Wildly unlikely, in fact. And the reason for this is very clear. Their relationship ending has an excuse to it. There's a reason to it. And it is that they had a situation where Adam had posted a tweet on Miranda's account, right? Because he reached out to her, or she reached out to him in some capacity to revive the Miranda Sings account. And Adam had made some kind of a queer baiting tweet or whatever. Doesn't really matter because it's not Adam's fault. It's Miranda's fault. She co-signed it and allowed it to go through, but that's what happened. Then it seemed like Miranda was venting to him after she got a lot of backlash, and it does seem that she suggested that it was his fault in some capacity by saying,
No, she wasn't just venting. She was ranting at him, talking about how it was the child's fault. She blamed Adam for that entire thing. Yes, while it is initially his idea, she is also the final. She is the adult. Not only is she the adult in this situation, she is the one who actually runs the account. So it is up to her whether the post goes up or not. Ultimately, it was her decision for it to go up. That's on her. All right. And by the way, the people who got mad over that tweet, they shouldn't have got mad over a tweet. It's a stupid tweet to get up in arms about. She shouldn't have cared that those people got mad, because ultimately those aren't the type of fans that you should be looking for. The fans are easily outraged, easily triggered by non-offensive jokes such as that.
I would have never tweeted something like this. Now, I don't know if she intentionally tried to shame him or make him feel bad. It's quite possible that she was just venting in some kind of a weird manic or hysterical state, because she seems to be a very sensitive person. And I say that in a bad way, that can't handle her own shit publicly. However, that doesn't show this. And then they had it fall out of their relationship. To be absolutely honest with you, it seemed like if you look at the DMs, Adam was the one who ended the relationship, or at least that's what was most possibly conferred from that. Think about it. He reached out and he said something along the lines of, I logged out of all your accounts. Don't worry, you'll get through this. That was I'm paraphrasing, but basically what he said. And it's very possible that that signals to Miranda that he's quitting. That's a very normal human thing. Either way, regardless of how much of an asshole Miranda is in this situation, it was very clear to me that things ended because of that, not because she had no intention of ever actually paying him to revive the Miranda Sings. And that's very important because that intentionality, while it's being told to us is some form of manipulation, it's very clear that things just fell apart, right? Now, of course, we get to the Cody video, and of course, we're going to get to some of the other specifics, don't worry. But the Cody video comes out where Cody basically co-ops all of Adam's frustrations and angers on the topic, and she is self-admittedly a clout chaser who wants to be like Trisha Paytas and says provocative things for attention, and that's the video she made. When she comes out, she expresses some kind of perspective that we all, for some reason, the public narrative still embraces, despite the fact that we don't embrace Cody, that Miranda was a massively manipulative person that reached out to Cody.
She is a massively manipulative person. But two things can be right at the same time. Cody is an idiot. But Colleen can still be a manipulative person. Because, like we've already said, she gave Cody the loaded gun to use against Adam. That is very simply what she did. If that's not manipulative, by the way, she does this after she agrees with Adam's mom to not go after their family again. So, to circumvent that, she decides to go to her fans who have some sort of platform, right? And has them make the videos. It's not that hard to grasp, Papa Gut. It's really not.
To have her make a hit piece on Adam to destroy his credibility. But if you actually read what's being said, this is how the timeline goes, right? In the fallout between Adam and Colleen, Adam's mother chews her out, says, "Don't talk about my kid anymore," right? And so after that, Adam decides to make a video talking about his relationship with Colleen, which I think is perfectly within his wheelhouse, which puts Miranda, and this is the most logical understanding of the situation, the most unbiased perspective, causes Miranda to be put into a weird spot where she doesn't feel like she can respond, and also because it would disrespect the wishes of Adam's mother. That is the most unbiased perspective. You can say, "You're being too charitable, Papa God." No, I'm not. I'm not being too charitable.
But why give, like, this is the thing, why give all of that to someone who didn't ask for it? Colleen goes out of her way to search for these people to make the video on Adam. That's what she did. She went out of her way to find these people to make the videos against Adam so that way her reputation could be saved to some degree. That's manipulating a situation. Very clearly it is. Like, Papa Gut, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that.
Charitable. I don't care about Miranda Sings. She means nothing to me. I wouldn't be talking about this topic unless it was being overloaded with a grooming allegation or a grooming narrative, because I think that is toxic to the public hive mind in this conversation. I don't care about Colleen. As far as I'm concerned, she's an irrelevant loser. I don't give a shit about her. I tend to like Adam. He seems like a nice guy. But this isn't about some kind of biased perspective where I love Colleen so much I want her career to continue. This literally has everything to do with a false grooming allegation. That is my primary perspective here. And I think that needs to be handled with the delicacy it deserves, because that is an intense accusation. That being said, Miranda, feeling like she's put into some kind of a situation, reaches out, I'm assuming maybe to more people, but specifically to Cody to give a little bit more context, which was the last bit of her interaction between her and Adam. Now, it's quite...
Why is she reaching out to random fans? Simple question. Why is she reaching out to random fans who just so happen to have somewhat of a following to make videos against Adam, to make hit pieces, to try and derail any sort of point that Adam had? Very simple. She didn't want to get her hands dirty. She wanted to look like the good person in the end. It's that simple. I'm sorry, but you don't go out your way to reach out to James Charles to defend you unless you're trying to, like, squash something.
quite possible that she was reaching out to people to make a response for her because she didn't feel like she could make the response. You could consider that manipulative, but this doesn't make it grooming. This is probably the only potentially manipulative thing that she does in this situation. I think it's cowardly, but that doesn't make her some kind of a groomer. To be honest with you, she probably feels like she was put in a situation where she couldn't talk about it, and she gets upset. Thankfully, she finally does respond to it, but it's unreasonable to think that based on this one perspective, which you all are basing it off of, she's this massively horrible, manipulative person, because pretty much all the other context was out there before this. Anyway, Cody's response to that is, oh, I will make a hit piece and destroy Adam. And then Miranda follows up by saying, I would rather respect the mother's wishes, and stops talking to her. Of course, only talking to her again after Cody made some kind of video about the bad things Miranda did from the perspective of her jokes being shitty and edgy. Again, if you think her jokes are shitty and edgy and you don't think that she should be a content creator anymore, just don't support her. But the reality is that she's obviously not a predatory person. Cody is a primary problem in this situation. Cody is a representation of the hate and vitriol that was rained down upon Adam for the past 3 years.
Okay, he's right about that. Cody, from my understanding, Cody the only reason why Cody is making this video now is because whether it was Colleen herself or one of Colleen's friends, one of them decided to block her, and so that's why she made the video. Also, I guess she thinks that Colleen's racist now, which Colleen probably isn't. All right, I don't know. I don't see her waving a swastika around. I don't see her in the Klansman outfit. But those are the only reasons why she decided to make the video in support of Adam, not because she had this profound change of mind. She was very opportunistic in how she did it. Simple as that. He's not wrong about that. I will grant you that, Papa God. But like I said earlier, two things can be right. Cody can be the biggest clout-chasing goblin on this platform, and and Colleen Rance. Oh God, I'm mixing up the names, guys. It's to be fair, it's very late, and Colleen can still be a manipulative person. So that's very simple.
Years. Cody is the primary problem, and if you aren't going to take accountability for you supporting Cody's narrative unintelligently and ignorantly for the past 3 years, based on her hit piece on Adam, at the very least, instead of blaming Miranda, blame Cody, because she's the shitty person. But frankly, there's a bit of blame for all of you, who again were eating up Cody's narrative for the past 3 years. There's blame for all of you, because while I didn't see Cody's video, because it's impossible to see, I guarantee you, based on the way that you guys seem to interact with social situations and social narratives, you probably massively, disproportionately shit on a young man, a boy at the time, who was just expressing a frustration because he was in an inappropriate parasocial friendship with a large content creator that he loved a lot, and it ended because she's kind of a bitch. And that's really what happened here. And you guys took it, and you ran with it, and you shit on this poor kid for 3 years, and you put him into a situation where now he has so many emotions surrounding this whole entire topic that he's spiraling out of control, and when this entire thing ends, he's not going to feel good. He's going to continue to feel shitty and isolated because none of you are actually his friends. You're all opportunistic individuals who are just trying to latch yourself onto the situation and come off as some kind of a moral, virtuous, righteous, good guy because now you're on the right side. Sorry, I made this horrible mistake that has mentally distressed you for the last 3 years. I'll make up for it by saying it's grooming. No problem, Adam. That's not how things work. That's not how friendships work, and that's not how mental health works. Over-validating somebody's feelings, I know that sounds harsh, is destructive, just as destructive as under-validating their feelings. There needs to be a proportionate response where you meet the person where they are and you just help them explore the situation. You don't want to overstate it. It absolutely is a thing that you have a profound impact on the way that somebody will interact with a particular topic based on your response, and you need to meet the person at where they're at. You can't just over-validate it. It will be destructive to their mental health. Again, just as destructive as under-validation, which is why you guys should shut the fuck up about the grooming narrative. And I'm putting Adam aside here, talking about the rest of you idiots, and recommend he sees a therapist so that he can help him move through these feelings in a productive way that is you, which implies that Adam was incredibly late to meet up, which makes sense as to why they didn't hang out for too long.
All right, I think my point's been made. I think when you look at like the base take. All right. Again, like I showed you the Turkey Tom take. I agree with the Turkey Tom take, and I believe that Papa Gut would agree with the Turkey Tom take as well. It's just Papa Gut focuses too much on a lot of details, and so he gets lost in the weeds. And so he makes himself look like an absolute idiot. I want to thank you guys. I know this is probably one of my more hot take related streams. If you're new to the channel, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. I'm Nerdy John. I do streams like this, scheduled every Saturday. Hope you hit that subscribe button. I'm signing out.